right. So from this first shape that you have chosen and set up for yourself here, just take a few settling breaths and maybe a little movement as you work your way in. And then try to find your stillness where you land. From this place of stillness, when we can achieve that, we can start to shift from all the doing, all the thinking, and go into more of an observer mode. So just start to observe yourself here in this first pose. Notice what you feel in your body. Notice the thoughts that arise and also notice your breath, your energy. With all of these observations, we're not coming at it from a standpoint of good or bad or any kind of judgment call, just noticing what's going on. Slowly start to let your breath find a little bit more depth here. You might have already begun that process, or you might still be in a more natural breath. So either way, it's okay. Sometimes this breath takes a while to get to that place where we connect and lengthen. And as you're noticing both your inhales and exhales, also notice that space, that pause between the inhale and the exhale. And again, that pause between the exhale and when you inhale again. Maybe that pause lengthens out just a bit. And this next inhale, draw it in through your nose as you likely have been. Stay for this pause at the top. Open your mouth and gently sigh the breath out. Pausing at the bottom and breathing in again through your nose. Pause. Gently sigh out. Notice that audible quality to your breath. Breathe in one more time together, in through your nose. Leave the lips closed, but try to make that same sound with your exhale. A sigh, an oceanic sound. Keep your breath going at your rhythm, your pace, as you start to move the body. Lengthening your legs out if they were bent or vice versa. So either coming to a nice long body stretch, or maybe you're curling up. Maybe you do both in the span of these few breaths here. And then let's hug the knees into the chest. We'll all meet there and rock side to side. Maybe you find a happy baby pose, getting a little more into the hips here, bending the knees, soles of the feet toward the ceiling. In this posture, I like to reach my elbows inside my knees and then grab for the outer edges, but you might grab your toes, you might be grabbing the ankles, it's all good. And then we'll hug the knees back together. Grabbing behind your knees, start to rock and roll north and south on the mat. Just take a few trips forward and back. Nice little massage for the length of your spine. And once you come upright, cross at the ankles, and let's move into a tabletop position, hands and knees, all fours. And find your way in here, just moving the spine, moving the hips for a couple of breaths here. We were still for a while there, so just see how that movement is feeling. Maybe your eyes are even still closed down. And then from here, let's turn the fingertips back toward your knees. You can either go one hand at a time or both. And if that's a little bit too much to flip them all the way around, you can take your fingertips out toward the long edges of your mat. So that's always a possibility. Just getting into the wrists a bit here. The more you lean back, the more sensation you might feel. If you're taking one hand at a time, just go ahead and switch. Couple more breaths here. Good, and then let's release the hands back forward. Tuck your toes and walk the hands back toward the knees, sitting back on the heels. So your hands might stay grounded to take a little of the intensity out of this posture, or you might come up with your torso. And then we free the wrists up, you can circle them out here. Getting into our feet. Breathing into whatever sensation might be happening. One more breath. Good. Let's return back to all fours. Untuck your toes. Patter those tops of the feet on the mat. Good, and then let your toes tuck again, and this time we'll lift the hips up high for downward facing dog. Heels getting heavy toward the mat. If they don't reach, it's okay. It's not the goal. Pressing into your fingertips, getting a little weight out of the wrists, and also sending your chest back toward your thighs. The knees might be generously or at least softly bent here. And go ahead and walk the dog if you like that. Very intentionally bending into one knee at a time. Even out both sides. Let's come to center in our dog. And leaving the legs relatively straight. Again, there's a micro bend, at least in the knees, but let the heels tip over to the right. Really press into that left palm, finding a nice big stretch along the left side of your body. Come back through your center, heels neutral, and then tip them over to the left. Take another breath here. Good. Now coming back through your center, let's walk the hands back to our feet for a forward fold with the torso draped down. Give your knees enough bend here that maybe the rib cage and the thighs connect. Let your head and neck really relax. You can shake the head yes and no here. Also find where your weight is here, maybe rocking toward the toes and then rocking back toward the heels. And then we'll center right in the middle here, all four corners of the feet nice and grounded. On your next inhale, let's bend the knees and rise up to stand. Sweep the arms up high. And then pull those hands into your heart center. Close your eyes down, take a couple of breaths here. Maybe this last breath you take in through your nose. Exhaling through the mouth. As you inhale, sweep the arms around and up, let the eyes open up. Lean back and bow forward, exhaling. Take a halfway lift on your inhale. Forward fold on your exhale. Let's walk the hands forward into a top of a push-up, high plank position. Remember, your knees can come down in your plank if you want them to. And whether your knees are up or down, let's lift the right heel, just a couple of inches here. Coming into a 3-limbed plank. So knee down would look like this. Take another breath in. And on the exhale, press back to a 3-legged dog. Let that right leg really lift high, bend the knee to open your hip. And if you want to circle it out here, you can certainly go for it. Or maybe you're just lifting and focusing on that hip opening. Inhale, lengthen your leg back, and exhale, close down to your downward facing dog. Breathe here. Let's inhale and come forward into your high plank. Set your knees down. Let's lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, sweep the chest, cobra pose, or maybe you press into the tops of the feet, lift your knees for upward facing dog. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. Take a breath here and breathe out. Another breath in, full breath out. Next breath in, let's hinge back forward into our plank. Set your knees down if you like. We're coming back for 3-limb plank. This time the left heel is lifting up. So hover those toes above the mat. Breath in. Exhale, hinge back to that 3-legged dog. Let that left leg lift high. Knee bends, hip opens.
Really lifting that left knee, left heel coming toward the glute. Maybe you're circling, maybe you're in stillness. Good, now lengthen, left leg behind you. Set that foot down, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward, high plank. Knees can come down or they can stay up this time, shifting forward. Roll lower, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, chest lifts, back bend. And exhale, coming back to either child's pose or downward facing dog. So resting here in down dog or child's pose for about 5 breaths. You're already probably 2 breaths in, it's just a few more. Take one more. Good, now let your heels lift on your next inhale. Exhale as the knees bend, you look forward and come to the top of the mat, forward fold. Let's inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise up to stand, arms sweep. Exhale, bend your elbows, open your chest. Take a cactus arm here, back bend. Inhale, sweep the arms up high. And exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, bow. Step your left foot toward the back of the mat, coming into a low lunge. Let that left knee come down to the mat. And then inhale, lift your arms up high for supported crescent lunge. If the hips came on up with your arms, let them sink back forward. Breathe here. Inhale, take your hands into your heart center. And exhale, find a prayer twist to your right. So see if with the support of your back knee, if you can really leverage those thumbs toward your heart center. By twisting the torso, twisting the chest deeper in. Each exhale, maybe you find a little more depth. Let's inhale as you release that twist, reach the arms up high. And exhale, shift back, find a half splits to release that front leg, stretch the hamstrings. Stay here for a breath. As you exhale, start to hinge back forward. Tuck your back toes to lift that back knee. Step back, top of a push-up. And know you can always skip this Chaturanga Dandasana, coming right to downward facing dog, or take that vinyasa. High to low, inhaling to the back bend, exhaling to down dog. Inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, knees bend, we look forward. Step to the top of the mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. Inhale, knees bend, we rise. Exhale, bend your elbows, open that chest. Inhale, arms lift. And exhale, we bow. Inhale, lifting half, flat back. Exhale, fold. Right foot travels back this time. Finding this nice low lunge. And then let your right knee soften down, toes untuck. Lift the arms up high, breathe in. Let the hips sink back low as you settle in. Let the shoulders also relax here. Inhale, take your hands into your heart. And exhale, find that same prayer twist to your left. So as you're breathing here, think length out your spine on your inhales, twisting in a little deeper, leveraging those thumbs into the heart center. Using your breath. Good, let's come back around to center, arms lift. And exhale, shift it back into that release, that half splits. Left leg straightens. Open those hamstrings. Your next exhale, start to hinge back forward. Inhale, take your back toes and lift that knee. Stepping back, making your way to your downward facing dog. Whatever route you choose. And from here, let's shorten our downward facing dog by walking the feet up a bit. Maybe you walk the hands back and you're meeting in the middle. Take some weight out of your hands. Let your right hand reach across to your left ankle. Twisting, peeking under your left arm. Good. Come back to center here. Left hand reaches to right ankle. Twist. Good. Release that left hand back. Come back to your regular down dog stance. Lift those heels up. Let your knees bend. Come to the top of the mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Fold, exhale. Rise up on your inhale. And then let the arms go parallel to your mat, to the floor, as you sink back in your chair pose. Let the hips get low. Let your shoulders plug back, even as your arms are actively reaching forward. Maybe you sink a little lower, weight back in the heels. One more breath here. Good, now inhale, stand up tall. Take a little back bend and exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold, step back, make your way to your downward facing dog. Through that vinyasa, we're going right there. Let's inhale as you take your right leg high to the sky. Bend that knee, open your hip. We've been here before. Stay for your exhale, and then inhale, take your leg behind you, square the hip down. On your exhale, we're coming to the right tricep with your right knee. Inhale, come back up to three-legged dog. Exhale, knee into the chest. Inhale, lift that leg high. Exhale, knee comes to the left tricep. Either hold here or lengthen that right leg out to the floor. Lift your left arm up for fallen star. Breathe here. Come back. Left hand down. Come back to your three-legged dog. And then step that foot through. Woo. Anyone warming up out there? Let's rise up to our warrior two. Both feet on the ground. Arms lengthen out. Take a pause, take a moment to settle in here. And from your warrior two, wrap your right arm behind your back, right arm behind. Sweep your left arm down and up as you revolve your chest forward. Pause here. So with your hand wrapped behind your back, you can feel your left hip pulling forward. So this is sort of a warrior one, warrior two hybrid. Take one more breath here. Good. Now release your left hand down. Spin onto the ball of your back foot. Lift your arms up into high crescent lunge. If you want to give your feet a little width between them, you can always adjust your stance. Take your hands into heart center. Breathe in. Exhale, find that same prayer twist. This time our back knee is lifted. It can always come down if you need that support. Breathe where you are. Take one more breath. And then on our next inhale, we're opening back to our warrior two stance. Reach up and back, reverse your warrior, straightening that right leg. Let it feel good. Lengthen out through this right side of your body. You can even grab your top hand. We're staying here for a couple breaths. You can take this sky archer variation, a little extra space in those right ribs. Inhale, open your arms up to a T, release that back bend. And exhale, find your triangle pose, Trikonasana. This right glute is wrapping under the body, rotating everything open, chest, rib cage. Maybe your gaze is up toward the top hand, maybe you're keeping that neutral. One more breath here. On your exhale, shift your gaze down to your right toes. Maybe grab for a block. We're coming into half moon two, lifting this left leg up. My right hand's on the block. My right toes are pointing forward. Left hip is nice and open here. You can even ground that left hand on your body, on your hip here, to feel that peeling open. Nice and active through the left leg. Doesn't matter necessarily how high up that leg is, just try to keep those toes flexing, keep some action in that foot. Then we're going to carefully land this left foot, bend into your right knee. Let's open out to a star pose. We normally just cruise right through this posture, but just enjoy all your limbs straight, both feet on the floor. Another breath here. And on the exhale, hands come into your heart. Let's lunge over to the left, Skandasana lunge. So you might stop up here, flexing your toes or not, or you might come all the way left glute to left heel. Wherever you land, try to keep a little bit of lift through the chest. Your hands can be down. Another good place for a block. Gives us a little support here and allows us to open up here in the chest. Good, now from here, we're turning toward the left to the back of our mat here. And let's drop it into a lizard lunge. So our hands are both on the inside of the left foot. And we're up on the ball of the right foot. Right knee can come down. Another good place for a block, if you want to maybe see what happens if you come down onto elbows, either down to the floor or down to a block. Feeling a nice opening here in the hips. Good, now let's come back up. Off of your elbows, if you came down, center that left foot, tuck your back toes, pick that right knee up. And you might need to take a couple little mini steps in with the right foot here. We're coming into a standing split here. So left leg lengthens as you lift the right leg up high. But again, just like in our half moon, don't worry so much about how high that leg is. Just try to keep it active. Also dropping the forehead toward the near shin. Taking that back bend out, letting the head and neck just really relax here. And we're only here for a little bit more. If you want to play with balance, One or both hands grabbing onto your ankle or shin. See what happens. And then let's close it down. Forward fold. Yes, yes, yes. Drop in. Widen your feet out here. And option to either take a bind, big toe bind, gorilla pose, or maybe interlace the hands up the tailbone to really wring out these shoulders. Go ahead and let your fingertips come back down to the mat if they left. Feet come back together. Knees bend, rise up to stand. And take those hands parallel, arms parallel to the earth. Sink back in chair pose. We're starting this whole sequence from the back of the mat. Let your buns sink down. Let that weight rock back. It's just feels a little bit more secure with the hands counterbalance, or arms counterbalancing us rather, arms and hands. Pull the belly in on your exhales. Next inhale, stand up tall, lean back, let it go. And exhale, bow forward. Take an inhale, flatten your back, lengthen the crown. Exhale, fold, step back. Vinyasa, your version to your downward facing dog. Let's inhale that left leg right up to the sky, knee bends, hip opens. Next, inhale, lengthen back, close the hip down. Exhale, take the left knee to left tricep. Mountain climber. Inhale, lift high. Three-legged. Exhale, knee into chest. Coming all the way across. Lifting up in between on the inhale. Exhale, knee crosses to the right tricep. Holding here, or straightening that leg. Planting it on the ground, lifting your right arm high. Fallen star. Close it down. Inhale, back to your three-legged dog. Exhale, bring that foot through. Low lunge, rise up on the inhale. Warrior two. Haven't done that one in a while. So let your breath slow down a little bit if you're here with me. Then let's go ahead and snake that left arm behind the back. You can see your fingertips in the camera maybe. And then sweep this right arm down and up, leaning back. Right hip gently pressing forward. Breathe here. Take another breath. And then release your arms. Spin onto the ball of that right foot. Hips totally squaring toward the top of the mat. Sweep the arms high, high crescent lunge. The right heel is lifted. Bring the hands into heart center. Exhale to find that prayer twist to your left this time. Everything hugging into your midline. Your core, your hips. Thumbs pulling toward that heart center. Next inhale, we're letting this go. We're opening this up, passing through warrior two, reaching up and back for reverse triangle. Big stretch across left side of your body. Catching that wrist with your right hand if you want it. Breathe. And then open your arms out to that T shape. Breath in. Exhale, find your Trikonasana, triangle pose. So I mentioned on the other side that bottom glute, feeling it wrap around, but it's really, you can kind of feel that action of both hips, all those muscles pulling in to the midline to really enable that rotation. And then let's release this. Oh, nope, sorry, I lied. Shift the gaze down toward your toes, bend your left knee, and we're coming up into our half moon. Right leg lifting high. And I love a block in this pose. It's because reaching toward the floor is usually causes a little collapse in the upper body for most people. You can also float that bottom hand. That was a possibility. Breathe, peel that right hip open. One more breath. And now bend into that left knee to carefully land your right foot. And now we'll open out to the star pose. Really open it up. Maybe you lean back with it. Take another big inhale. And exhale, hands to heart. Skandasana toward your right side this time. Going for that block again. This pose looks a little different from practice to practice, even from side to side. So don't strain too much to get to any certain place. Just listen to your body. If you're up a little higher, it's all good. One more breath. And then we're revolving this forward to the original front of the mat, coming into lizard pose. Hands inside the right foot. Back knee can soften down. Elbows might also lower. Coming back to your breath. And then let's lift back up. If you came down to your elbows, tuck your back toes, lift your left knee, center your right foot, shifting the weight forward, lifting up into that standing splits. Crown of the head pointing down toward the mat as best as you can. Again, seeing what happens if you take a hand away from the floor, grabbing onto the ankle, feeling all those stabilization muscles, working like a son of a gun. And then let's close this down, forward fold. Option again to open the shoulders out. Gorilla pose, big toe bind, anything you need. Okay, now let your hands return back to the mat. Let the knees bend. Let's rise up to stand, arms sweep around and up. And hands draw into your heart center. Take a couple breaths here. Maybe the eyes close down. Good, now we're going to do a couple things here for balance before we take it down to the floor. So I'm turning to face you. You can face any direction. You can use a wall if you need that prop. So open the arms nice and wide to a T shape.
wrap the right under the left for eagle pose. So you can either wrap under and then let the hands meet, or take a little bear hug here, sitting back in our chair. And right leg might wrap up and over the left. So toes can kickstand. You can also keep those toes floating for a full balance. Keep the elbows lifting off the chest as much as you can. Breathe. Good, now let's release this. Sweep the arms up and take your right knee up to the height of your hip, coming into a one-legged mountain pose. Let the hands come down to your shin. Option to work here, or maybe your left hand comes to your hip. Right hand can wrap around the big toe, or right peace fingers can wrap around the big toe, and maybe your leg straightens out. My leg is not completely straight. It's not an all or nothing. If you're wobbling, if you fall over, guess what? It's okay, life will go on. So either with this straightened leg or a bent knee, start to take your leg out to the right. I'm going back for a bent knee for this part. Left arm can reach out for counterbalance here. Breathe. Last step here. Start to bring that right sole of the foot to the inside of your leg somewhere, landing in tree pose. Our last pose here on this side. Hands can come to heart. Pull your belly in for stability. Focus on something that is not moving around. Pressing that left standing foot into the mat with purpose. Another breath here. And release it. Yes. So maybe give that left ankle some rotations. The standing leg is really the, as I always say, it's the real MVP when we balance. So one more side here. That's all there is, one more side. Arms T open with breath in. Exhale, wrap those arms up, left under right with the arms. Sitting back in our chair, left leg wraps over the right in our bottom half. And of course, there's always this lovely bear hug option. Keeping those elbows lifted up, feeling that nice big stretch through the shoulders. Beautiful. Let's stand up as you release your arms. Take your left knee with you. One-legged Tadasana. Really start to press the ball mound, that big toe of your right foot into the mat. That'll help with the stability. Hands come to the shin. Staying here or seeing what happens. You bind that toe and straighten. If you notice the chest really collapsing, then just bend your knee a little bit more. And then taking it open to the left with your knee, your leg, right arm reaches wide. How are you breathing? And then let that left sole of the foot find its way to your inner thigh, maybe your shin, maybe it's kickstanded down on the floor. Just try to avoid the knee joint. The knee joint isn't meant to move side to side, so we don't want to put that pressure right there on that inside of that joint. One more breath here. And then let that all go. Both feet on the ground. Any Circling of your right ankle that's needed, any movement at all, in fact, that you need. And let's make our way back to the top of the mat if you left it and come down to a ragdoll fold. The core is a big player when we balance too, so when you drop into this fold, you might feel all that work that the low back was just doing in that little sequence. And then let your hands come down to the mat. Let's widen the feet to about the width of the mat. And let's drop the hips down into Malasana, garland pose, yogi squat. I've got my block conveniently right here. I'm going to put it right under my tailbone. So this is a nice use of a prop here. Allowing the hips to still open, taking a little of the intensity out of those leg muscles that have been working pretty hard here. Let's release this when you're ready. Coming up with the hips, hands coming down. Bring those feet back into the midline. And let's simply sit down on the mat here. And keep your knees bent with soles of the feet on the mat about hip width distance apart. And lift your chest, lift your chin, lift your gaze here. Breath in. Exhale, hanging on to your shins or behind your legs. Roll back over your sit bones. Round your spine back. So think seated cat and cow here. Lifting the chest again on your inhale. Lift the chin with it and exhale, take it back. You should feel that little point at which you roll up and over those sit bones. Let's take one more round. Really tuck the chin, bring the navel into the spine. And release back up to neutral. Find those sit bones. And keeping the chest lifted this time, hanging on behind your knees, lean back. Lean back until you feel your abs engage. And maybe your shins come parallel to the mat for boat pose, Navasana. You can also keep your tippy toes on the mat. Just try to keep that chest lifting. Arms might also reach forward, but at any point if you feel that collapse start to happen, grab onto the legs. Support your body. Keep your breath going. Take another breath in. Exhale, lower your waistband down to the mat. Keep your heels, keep your shoulders lifted, low boat. Keep your breath going. One more. And release it down to the mat. Stretch it out. Take a full body stretch. Big breaths here. Good, now let your hands come by your sides. Bend your knees, flatten the soles of your feet. Take your right ankle, cross it over your left knee. And then pressing into your left foot, lift the hips here for a one-legged bridge. Try to keep both of your shoulders on the mat. Don't worry so much about the height of your hips. Just feel that stretch. this is bothering your knee or any part of your body for that matter, you can just keep your hips grounded. It's all good. Or just take a little height out of your bridge. Coming back down with the spine. Staying here, opening the hip. You can also take this up against the wall or lift the legs, reach through this window of your legs with the right arm, grabbing onto your left hamstring, your left shin. Now let's keep this figure 4 in our legs and slide the right leg all the way across back into our eagle legs, like a reclined eagle, much more chill. And we'll drop those knees over to the left as you potentially turn your gaze to the right. If that's okay in your neck. And that at this point, we're winding our practice down. All that big effort disappearing behind us, softening into these last poses. So if you need a little longer anywhere at any of these stops, in this twist, for example, you can stay a little bit longer. We'll return back to the middle whenever you're ready. Setting up the left side. Left ankle crosses the right knee. Hands by your sides. We'll take that Ekapada bridge pose. And this can create some pretty deep sensation in that left hip. So just ease into it. Sometimes the interesting sensation is the buoyancy, the maybe a little less stability will come down in the spine as we're strengthening these hip flexors. And staying here with this figure 4, either with the right foot grounded, the right foot on the wall at a 90-degree angle, or using those hands to hold the right leg. I'm so glad you all made it tonight. And when you're ready to release this stretch, we'll slide the left leg all the way across, opening the arms out. With an exhale, dropping knees to the right, Finding this twist on the other side. When life feels a little or perhaps a lot uncertain, it's our rituals. They don't even have to be big rituals, but the little day-to-day things that we accomplish that keep us grounded and keep us moving forward. Taking a moment here, just acknowledging this ritual of your yoga practice that you are preserving and honoring and showing up for. It's not always easy to make that happen. Again, you can stay as long as you need. You can release your twist and take any other posture or stretch or movement. Knowing there's time, there's space if you need another back bend, another inversion. Maybe you find your way back into that happy baby pose or a nice full body stretch. Honoring both what you need and what you don't need in your practice, not feeling pressured to do anything else. Finding your way into your Shavasana whenever it feels right. Shavasana can be supported by your blocks, your blanket or pillow. You might even go up against a wall or flip onto your belly for a prone Shavasana. Lots of ways it can look. Just make sure you can find that ease in your body, letting go of any harbored tension, letting your breath go back to that place where it's flowing without any effort, without any alteration or change.
take as long as you need in this space of Shavasana that you've created. When you're ready to start to make your way back, we'll start with a few deep rounds of breath. Bringing the focus back to the breath, and back into your physical body. Find your way into some small movements. And eventually make your way onto either side of your body. Just rolling toward whichever side feels like the right place to go. Pausing here in this fetal position, or Shavasana, marking the end of our practice on this mat. And we can look at this pose, this fetal pose, as our beginning in the rest of our day and our practice off of the mat. So take as many moments here as you need and make your way up to a seated position only when you're ready. And once you are back upright, sitting up tall, we'll open the arms, open the chest nice and wide, lifting the hands up with a breath in, lifting the chin. Hands come together. Exhale your prayer hands down to your heart center. And as we bow to the light within ourselves and the light that exists in each and every one of us, thank you so much for sharing this practice with me and with each other. Until next time, namaste.